As long as we don't talk about football, we'll be okay. So, I think I have the easiest task in the room this morning, that I get to introduce Bob Dold. Easy because, one, most of you guys already know him, but more importantly because there's so much to talk about and so many good things to highlight. So I'm not going to stand up here and go through all of them, but I wanted to touch on two things very quickly, and those two things are leadership and character, because I think that's really what sets people apart and who I want to represent me. So if I can talk about leadership first, leadership just doesn't happen overnight. And you have to have established leadership from your history and your actions and all that you do. And if you look at Bob Dold, he has that leadership going all the way back. Many of you know he grew up in the area. Many of you don't know that he was quarterback at New Trier High School. So from his early days, he was leading the team. He was also the captain of the wrestling team and the lacrosse team. When he went on to college, he was the president of the Campus Government Association at Denison. He gave the commencement speech in Indiana, and he had an MBA from Kellogg. So why are those things in the past so important? Because they establish leadership. Because his actions today and the choices he makes are based on those experiences he had back when he was building his leadership. The second thing I want to talk about is character. And we seem to have a little problem with that right now with our elected officials in Washington. And I want to share a quick story about character and Bob Dold. When I was in Afghanistan, I flew flags for some elected officials. Many of you know that flags are very important to the military and in Washington, D.C. And at the base I was at, I was in charge of raising and lowering the flag every day. And when I got back from Afghanistan in the last election cycle in 2012, Bob Dold was at a manufacturing assembly plant in Lincolnshire when I presented him a flag that was flown over a base in western Afghanistan. And I did this for many people, and to a person, everyone is very appreciative and thankful for this. It's a nice gesture. But there was only one person who took the time after I presented him that flag to ask me about Afghanistan and ask me how the war is going and what kind of strategy we have and how the troops are doing on the ground. And that person was Bob Dold. And that really set him apart in my mind, to me, that here he was in the middle of a tour of a plant trying to get votes from constituents, and he had the time to say, hey, what's going on over there? What do I need to know to take back to Washington about how the war is going? So this morning I just wanted to talk real quickly about those two things with Bob Dold. As most of you know, this race is highly contested. It was named the number 7 most likely to flip, and I am confident that Bob Dold is going to get that seat back and do great things in Washington, D.C. So without further ado, Bob.